Happy Tuesday, everybody! Ooh! What was loud in here? Hello, everybody! Happy Tuesday! Happy Tuesday! Ooh, I didn't crack it. Didn't crack a drink. Hello, everybody! Happy. Oh, he's got the monitor was on. Is already on. That's what it was. That's what it was. That's what it was. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Preshow, the NASDAQ Tuesday pre-show. It is April 23rd, 2019. Happy Tuesday. Our opening music here is, of course, the wonderful Himiko Kikuchi. Her album Woman is what we're listening to, 1983. And hello, hi everybody, hi, welcome to Tuesday. I got a good show coming up for you in a bit. We've got a new game. And I hope it works. I hope it works. And I'm saying that because I think it will. I think it'll be good. But also, it was a pretty easy game to put together, is I guess how I would describe it. So it's you know, a lot of times the games we kind of have to set up a bunch of stuff, but this one is going to be, it was really simple to do, and so I'm hoping it's good. I hope it's not too long. It's a new game called Calls Any Fucked. And we'll kind of see how the guys take to it. Hopefully, if it's good, it's a very easy game to put together. We could do it a lot. It could be a thing that gets done a lot. Cause and effect. And I do like it when it's easy. And it's also something where if the audience, if you guys wanted to put together, help collaborate on it, it's pretty straightforward. But that's coming up in the second act of the show. I have no idea what is going on in the first act of the show, as is tradition. Not for any good reason, like a lot of traditions, just because it's how it's being done. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. How was your Tuesday? How was your weekend? It was 420 weekend. Did you stoneheads and pot boys get zooted and raised up their flip-flops under this desk? Yeah, just kick them a little further down. There we go. But yes, in any case, I hope you had a good weekend. As always, hope you had a good Monday and a Tuesday. Not to mention the rest of the week coming up, if you are listening to this after the fact. Get a sip in. Let me get a sip in. But yeah, hope you guys had a good weekend. Yes. What else is going on? Hando Tadpole says, I got totally cranked on goofballs. Ooh, there you go. Good, you know? 420 happening on a weekend is pretty it's a pretty I was gonna say serendipitous, but it's more mathematical. It just at some point it was gonna happen. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good weekend. I did not really get zooted. I didn't get whacked out, turned up, pushed up. None of that stuff. I usually have some goodies. I'd had like a little thing of goodies, but without thinking about it, without realizing what this past weekend was, I had consumed the last of my goodies like 2 weeks ago. That was dumb. I mean, it was fun at the time, but yeah. So I was at a goodies, and then at some point I was like, well. Open Bias is from Vegas. No, Open Bayou. That would be illegal. That would be. I mean, all of this, everything we're done. This is not. This is all fiction. This is all fiction. And no, they don't expire. Yeah, I mean, I definitely did not, traffic anything. Didn't do anything like that. That would be illegal. So I didn't do any of that stuff. So yeah, it's Tuesday. So I hope you had a good weekend, as always. Let's see. What do we do in the pre-show? Drinks. What are you guys drinking on? It's, what are you sipping on? Hashtag sipping. Let us know at Night Attack Show on Twitter what your hashtag sipping. I'm finishing off. There's a 6-pack of these here in the house. So I'm finishing off this Austin Eastsiders original dry cider. Now, and we do have a call. We are receiving a call. We are accepting the call now. We are receiving a call. We have gotten a call. The call is in. Hello, caller.
Oh, yo, what's up?
What's going on?
What's going on, fam?
Oh, just doing the Tuesday thing. How are you doing?
Man, you want to know what? Living the dream, baby. I drove up to Fairfield, California.
Really? What's in Fairfield, California?
A place for me to get TSA Pre.
Oh. And how'd it go?
Quick. My appointment was supposed to be at 3:30. I drove up early, and I was just like, yo, dude, can you squeeze me in? And he's like, yeah. Hit enter. Let me see your passport.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Pretty much it. Got back in the car, picked it up from Wendy's, got the fuck home.
You had TSA Pre before, right?
I had global entry, which gets you
The
TSA
same.
Pre because you have a known passenger ID number.
Right.
The global entry website, like, I don't know what the deal is, but my passport number, it just was like creating a fucking
An error?
set error. Like, it just was not going through. So I'm like, look, man, I got a lot of shit that I got to do in the next like couple weeks. So I need a known passenger ID number. Oh, stat.
Yeah. I wonder if it went fast because you had global entry before. I mean, granted, when I got TSA Plus, it was also pretty quick, right? Like, you go to a third-party place,
Yes,
you get your fingerprint taken.
It was literally, there was just a vendor who was like, yo, we got the contract to like see the things that you've already entered in online. So there's just a person, and then I got it was also my fingerprint scan.
Right. Yeah. It's certainly is global entry the one where you have to set up the schedule way in advance? Because the TSA PreCheck, you could do like 24 hours in advance.
Yeah. Oh no. The reason why I had to drive to Fairfield was because that was the one that had an appointment today, because I didn't want to do it yesterday because I was kind of jam-packed yesterday, but today I got a little time in the afternoon, so I'm like, you know what, I can get in a gig car, bust that shit on up to Fairfield, which is about 45 minutes away from here.
Okay. That's a little trip, but yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
It's fine. You throw on a few of these podcasts, and next thing you know, you're done. John Teasdale is convinced that a main character on Game of Thrones is going to die next episode, so I've talked to him a bunch about that.
Yeah, I bet some people will die in the big battle next week, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's convinced that a major person's going to die, but I think I've talked him off that ledge. Although if it happens, I'll never hear the end of it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, we had a very long conversation on Spoiler Time at cordkillers.com yesterday about Game of Thrones, and we had all of our predictions of who's gonna die, who's not gonna die, how's the battle gonna go. We didn't talk about the dire wolves, but we will probably see more than one badly composited shot of a dire wolf next week. But yeah,
I got one freebie.
Yeah,
I got a freebie little cash this one in on your prop.
Please.
Prop bet. Zombie
Hodor. That makes sense. That is not even controversial. That is an exact
Take
thing.
it to the bank.
Yeah.
Check that one off.
Yeah.
Take that fucker to the window. Free money. Your pal Jury is putting money in your pocket.
Yeah, Tom and Tom is convinced that someone who is alive right now will be turned into a White Walker mid-fight.
I mean, I would assume.
Yeah. So, in any case, it's Game of Thrones.
There's definitely more sex this season than there has been, I feel like, in the previous season. But I kind of felt like...
You mean this season's one sex scene? Your buttons on?
No. Episode 1 had... I mean, I guess it was not consummated, but there was... No, it was. There was full-on insertion with Bronn and the 3 whores in the first episode.
Are you,
okay, yeah.
you guys talking about this generation's Seinfeld?
No, we're talking about Game of Thrones.
Wait, what?
Show about fucking nothing?
Oh,
Wow.
you behave.
Wow. And these are not spoilers, everyone. Nothing we've said is a spoiler other than, like, the actual...
Other than the fact that they are events in a show that happened. So we're definitely spoiling things that happened on the show.
I wish we were. Unfortunately,
Oh, no.
fucking nothing happened.
Okay, well.
Are you, this is your hill? This is the hill you want to die on?
The past
No.
2 weeks have been long.
This is an opening chess move. It's just me saying, like, look, you got a lot of credit, Game of Thrones. It's great. You're great. It's best show on television. Everything's wonderful. Hoo boy, when do you plan to start?
I episode 1, I totally agree with you. Episode 2, I think that there was a lot that happened.
Things I didn't need to see. My little sister fucking a dude for the first time.
That was something happening, though!
Number one, you can't pay, like, this show has always been dark magic, and we have all willfully signed on with all the wanton, gratuitous sex, but you can't have a show about coming of age without the canonical moment of coming of age happening with the character for which has came the most age.
Yes, but also it is a character who represents nothing but rage and revenge, and I don't want to see lovey-dovey coming of age John Hughes bullshit mixed in with my rage and coming of age.
Why not?
Lovey-dovey? She said, give me that D. But make sure you make my weapon first, because this war might pop off at any moment. So as soon as you're done with those hands fashioning them weapons, I need them hands fashioning some other shit.
I need
Because let me let you know, son, I'm fucking pretty educated on that bow staff. I'll do shit with that. A girl fucking has no tale to tell after I get done with you.
A man better have no face when he's eating me out.
No, I saw one meme that was Gendry, and it's just when no one wants to have sex with you, and it's just him frowning. And then it's when no one wants to have sex with you.
So,
How you doing, Brian?
what are the odds early in the episode?
We're talking about next week's big fight.
Yes, speculation. None of us know nothing.
Which,
so,
by the way, I didn't realize that they are, like, out and out saying, "Suck my dick, Helm's Deep." Like, that's the champion is the Two Towers, Helm's Deep. We are dropping our nuts on Helm's Deep. So that's like part of their official messaging is that we are bigger, longer, and more intense than the Helm's Deep scene in Two Towers.
So, on the craps table, let me give you its long odds that specifically it would be this precise. But, consider it a yo on the craps table.
Sure. Oh, by the way, who's coming to Vegas? Come on out this weekend.
Man, is it this weekend? I don't. So, imagine early on a scene of, like, kill a White Walker, face off against a White Walker, and then Arya says, "You'll do," and she dives in. We don't see Arya for the rest of the episode.
Okay.
Later, everyone's overwhelmed. Winterfell. The Winter King or whatever
The Night
is.
King.
What's that?
The Night King.
Whatever.
No, the Winter Man.
Johnny
whatever
McWinter.
means.
Johnny McWinter
right.
is like, well, we did it. We killed humans. And then my trusted helmsman.
One more time.
That's gonna be a big moment. Is the first time we hear his voice, and he just says to who? Who is he saying this to?
I mean, to his trusted Lieutenant Johnny Bones.
Also, who all look like they own Grateful Dead vans.
Right. He's like,
all of his lieutenants look like they own fucking Grateful Dead vans.
right, and then he leans over. He's like, Johnny McLieutenant, who boy, we did it. We killed humans. And then he goes, I told you he would do, and then kills him with the exact. By the way, the weapon is a gun. That's the other thing. That mysterious weapon that we saw 2 episodes ago. Turns out she came up with the gun.
Yeah. And then she looks right in the camera and says, "Take this from me, Kamala Harris." And then
Controversial.
strange
Yeah,
direction
weird
from
choice.
Game of Thrones. Grandpa Coldfall.
Oh man.
Valid theory. I feel like there's a lot that can happen. I already gave my stone cold lock it up pick of the week. Take this one to the bank. We're gonna see Zombie Hodor. Zombie Hodor's happening this week.
And by the way, what are the reasons to not have Zombie Hodor? Like,
0.
Why would HBO exclude? Do they not approve of the disabled, of the challenged? Like, why wouldn't he be in there? Why would they not feature him?
It's been long debated whether or not HBO is sensitive to that.
It's messed up.
Fucked up, the way I put it. I mean, I don't want to soft pedal it here.
By the way, audio listeners, that was the sound of me picking up something and figuring out whether or not I wanted that to be the hill I died on and set it right back down.
Yeah, I could tell it.
Funny. Normally, I'm the one recklessly accusing people of horrifying crimes for the flippant cost of a joke for 5 minutes to be forgotten forever.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Is that one of your new shirts?
It is. It is. Look at this. Hold on. Here you go. Boom.
Ryan, I think it was when we were in Vegas, right? When you're like, I'm buying my new
I bought as many as I could find that I loved.
So it says Ballerina Overdrive. It's kind of in the style of like a late 80s, 90s sort of VHS cover. There's a ballerina. She's doing, what position is that, Justin? Is that position 2? Is that position 3?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly.
And she's holding
Whatever
a gun.
it is, it's the last position you'll see.
America.
Pop. So these were all done by Rob Schraub.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
very cool.
These are faux VHS 80s, 90s covers.
Oh yeah,
VHS
you wore
tapes.
one on another shoot of ours. Yeah.
Yeah. I only got one positive comment on it. And that person was clearly hip to. Actually, I got 2. I got one that was like, where do I get it? And then another one was like, Rob Schraub, represent.
Okay.
But those were used in 10 Cloverfield Lane. They were the movies that were like in John Goodman's creepy bunker basement.
Oh, wow. There we go. Okay.
So, over on Cord Killers, our number one operating theory was that. I say our, I guess I mean mine. Okay, if I'm running HBO, all I want is for everybody to twist and maximum impact. And if you're going to get that this season, it seems like the safest character to get maximum impact is Tyrion to kill this next episode.
So, John Teasdale is totally in on that. He like literally just dive bomb texted me. The person I was talking to right before I talked to you was John Teasdale, and it was just him explaining why Tyrion was going to get killed next episode.
So,
to which I talked him down off that ledge. I do not think that will happen.
do you remember the moment? What was the deal with the exact?
It was, I guess, the crossbow Tyrion used to kill his dad.
Right. Who was it that was handed it?
Bronn.
Bronn.
his boy Braun.
So
Why
tell
am I frozen?
this is my
no,
shot.
you're connected.
This is my shot. Call my shot.
There you go.
There's a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Bronn is holding it. Tyrion is flailing, and he says, "Do it." Shoots right through Tyrion to get at whoever's holding Tyrion.
And Tyrion dies.
Oh yeah, yeah. My goal is on as many different podcasts as possible. Make as many different predictions so that one of them will be right.
Yeah, it will be impossible to track.
So there were two reasons why I thought Tyrion has to make it to the last episode. He might die in the last episode, but I do believe he's going to make it to the last episode. Mostly because at some point we're going to go back to King's Landing. Tyrion's greatest achievement was defending King's Landing. So now putting him on the other side of the army that now needs to do the thing that we have yet to see throughout our entire story, which is somebody effectively take King's Landing, right? That would seem to be a natural end to Tyrion's arc, the one final challenge. And there's also a couple other things that I think he could do. But also, just for the idea that there's a lot of compelling characters on the show. There's a lot of characters that are popular on the show. None of them are the audience. Tyrion has always been the audience. And I kind of feel like to lose the audience character before the final episode would be rough.
So let me give you an alternate hypothesis. And this is, again, full disclosure. This is me trying to put money on everything except for 00 on the roulette table. If Tyrion does not die, I will take that as confirmation that where we end up with is both Dany and Jon Snow die, and Tyrion is like the steward of the Child King, and he creates a representative republic and says the only way to lose is to actually play.
Now, by the way, of those two, I think that it's much more likely that one of those two die in the next episode.
Oh, I agree.
Definitely.
Like if I'm calling my shot,
At very least.
Jon Snow is dead because we don't really know why he came back to life or any of that shit.
Because a woman hexed his penis.
Sure. But also Dany is certainly pregnant, even though she said she could never be pregnant again. She's pregnant with this kid, and the Targaryen line continues. There was something about the softness of the whole, technically, actually, my lady, guess who's not Jon Snow, but in fact the real king.
Yeah. Although, that was Game of Thrones has this amazing line between soapy and awesome that it's as soon as that scene was set up and you knew what was gonna happen, you're just oh, this is so soap opera. And I know exactly, just knowing by where we were in the episode, you knew exactly how everything was going to play out, and it played out exactly how you wanted to. And you're just yes, this is the most, middle of the afternoon, all my children, dialogue, but I love every second of it.
Yeah. The Sansa and Daenerys conversation was like that too, of just some ABC ass drama, fucking scandal shit of just
until Sansa pulled that oh no, but also I'm trying to form Scotland.
Yeah. But that's a part of that, right? That's
yeah.
How
I don't
those
know. I totally bought on the oh, this is about the girls being able to hash it out while the boys are doing dumb stuff. But I love that switcheroo at the end.
So good thing or bad thing?
Scandal.
Okay,
maybe I'd really like Scandal. Is what I'm trying to say.
You might like the first few seasons of Scandal.
Can we do a little finger name chant corner hour moment where it's is it a good thing or bad thing when you are talking to your 11-year-old daughter about her getting teased by other kids, and you explain to her some of the different tactics that she can use, and you find yourself
are you hearing an echo?
Yeah. No, I am because
we're doing the
the
little
words
finger
are
corner
just
hour.
Oh, the
got it.
name check corner. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
This,
I didn't
this
know
is
we
kind
were
of a
doing
bit
a
I
bit.
thought we would all be in on.
Nope.
but now apparently-
None of us. Turns out none of us did, except for me and me.
Oh no, I turned it off.
Me. Oh, yeah, damn it, just me. Okay, so kids are teasing my 11-year-old
In real life.
in real life,
Okay.
and
How unfortunate.
she's sharing the
What are
story.
their names? Let's dox them.
So she's explaining how it's like, well, then I told them blank, whatever. Turns out like all of it is like, oh, you're meeting force with force that rarely ends up well. And so I find myself like genuinely in a little finger position trying to figure out how to explain to her the different possibilities. And I was like, okay, you got kids who are bullying you and I understand you want to hit them back. There's a few different ways. Let's talk about prison rules. And I look at Bonnie and I say, none of this is where I'm headed, but we do have to explore it. And I explain the concept of a credible threat where she can politely say, hey, if you do that again, because like kids are like pushing her and so on.
Okay.
It's like,
well, they're getting physical with her.
correct. But just enough, right? So now the question is like, there are different ways to play this. Do you put up with the pushing and say like, doesn't matter to me or whatever? Or do you say, hey, just so you know, if you physically push me, that's assault, and I intend to punch your eye out and possibly blind you.
Okay.
At which point,
Which is an avenue, which is you have to be able to back that up.
correct.
You can't be a buster.
And at which point I explain to my 11-year-old, you have to be able to follow up on that.
So here's
it's
how you
gonna
do a
look
left
like
hook.
this, right?
It's not Busterwood. It's Brushwood. So fucking don't be a buster.
Separate thing.
Uh-huh.
Do you set verbal traps for them? So that first scenario is establishing physical dominance. The other one is establishing verbal dominance, in which case, and lacking a better solution, and I said, this is a terrible version of this. Please do not do anything with this. But
So now we are at two things that this child should not do.
correct.
Okay.
Definitely don't, show the credible threat and so on. Second one is like, well, the other one is you can establish verbal dominance, but the problem is you have to be able to make that such an unappealing arena that they never encounter it. And Bonnie's kind of looking at me at this point, and Josie's looking at me. I was like, well, let me give you an example. By the way, it's a bad example. None of you should ever do it. And I said, you could ask them, do you like fish sticks? And then went on to do the South Park joke, right? Where it's like, the problem with that path is, number one, first of all, socially unacceptable. Second of all, if you do that, you better have an unending number of these. They need to know that anytime they intend to joust with you verbally, they're gonna walk away sad that they did that. And then I brought them the third one, which was altering the monetary supply of affection, which is okay, you don't intend to punch them out physically or verbally, so instead, how many kids in your class? 25 kids. Great. You show up every single day with 21 cookies, and you make sure everybody gets them except for those 3 kids. And so, and then like when it gets to those kids, they're like, hey, can I have a cookie? Like, oh man, I'd love to. Just have this policy about people who, push me. So anyway, everybody gets a cookie, but not you.
No. You never say. They just don't get cookies, and then when the pushing stops, they get cookies. You train them like a dog.
I did tease the idea that maybe she could say, well, I could give you a cookie if you barked like a dog, and then they bark like a dog, and then don't give them a cookie.
Yeah, that you're inviting more pushing at that point.
Hey man, look, as long as she, and so there came this moment where Bonnie was like, or when Josie was like, well, will you pay for this? And then I thought to myself, like, okay, now that pivots things where it's like, if I want to.
See, we're at idea number 3. That is not tell the teacher that she is being physically assaulted.
She did.
Okay.
And teacher
Yeah,
does not care.
I'm with Brian.
Yeah.
You still need a personal look. You can call the cops, but there's also reason to take protection on the home front.
Right.
You need to continue to fashion yourself. These are the earliest battles that you will face throughout the rest of your life of bullies. The bullying will only get more sophisticated than I'm pushing you in the hallway. So
Right.
what you need are strong moral cornerstones, which for me was develop a keen sense of who your surrounding people are, identify their weaknesses, and find out ways to make everybody else laugh at jokes about what they know to be their deepest, darkest weakness. If that happens, people immediately understand that not only is it a bad idea to pick on me, because I'll be able to weaponize everyone around them for things that they have unresolved. But
Right.
everybody's got their own little superpower. You gotta develop it.
So think about this. Day 1, you give out 21 cookies, except for the last 4. Oh, you 4. I guess you just, maybe next time. And then you give out cookies, and you start giving out cookies. They come up, and they're like, hey, I want a cookie. You're like, doggone, look at these cookies. On the back of them, they say, do not give these to anybody who's physically assaulted you. Ooh, if I would, I could, but I can't. And then at some point it becomes like, let's say they make an aggressive play, at which point you're like, oh my God, hey, entire class, it's really fucked up. I had planned to give everybody double cookies today, but these people assaulted me, so I guess, thanks to them, no cookies for anyone. And then you turn everybody against them.
Then there is no power greater than the power in the mind of somebody else, right? What you want to do is just build up expectation that they are on the wrong side. That if they tested it, you never want to bring the conflict to a head, because the conflicts can go any number of different ways and they will usually not play out exactly as you want them. What you want to do is always just make it clear to them that the coming conflict will not be in their favor, and they have no interest in bringing it to the fore. So I would say just do the cookies. Literally, she just becomes the cookie girl, and she's always handing out cookies. And if the kids ever ask, if they ask for a cookie, then that is effectively them saying, I'm sorry, can I please be your friend now? Because if they were cool the way they were before, she had no value. That's why they could push her around. Now she has value as not only social standing, but also in the form of a cookie. She literally brings them to heel the second they ask for a cookie. If they ask for a cookie and she denies them that to punish them, then now she is being cruel. She is taking their moment of vulnerability,
Right.
and spinning it back on them, and now enraging them as they have reached out.
So
she can this cookie diplomacy. I believe in cookie diplomacy. But that's the silent option. There's the loud option of, all right, fuck with me, I will fuck with you back, and I will make sure that you do not think that this is a smart idea to ever do again. Then there's the, you're trying to be defensive option, but this is the silent economic victory. You're just buying off everybody else, and eventually they understand that trade is more profitable than pushing.
Can we do a brief side jag and address Lisa J's concern in the chat? Well, like, why don't you just talk to the parents of the bullies? Whew. All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Because I want my daughter to be self-sufficient, she has to learn how to play the Game of Thrones on her own. And it is a legit-ass Game of Thrones if you've ever been in public high school or middle school or elementary school or whatever. Like, she has to learn what works and what does not work. And yes, I could swoop in and from above tell a story. And also, by the way, that opens up a whole different narrative. It's like, oh, this guy who has some fans on the internet comes swooping in and believes we can't accept either of the kids' stories about this. So instead, all we can do is say, if this person has wronged you, here is a way to defend yourself against being wronged again.
And by the way, how do you think these kids got like this? Good parenting?
So talking to the parents seems like the worst move you would make.
If something's serious, or there's something that seems to be like a minor little thing that a top level communication could help, like, or you're really just narking out on another kid because another kid's bringing in something from the home that he probably shouldn't, that maybe the other parent doesn't know about. That's where you communicate with another parent. But other than that, like, what, these kids are shitbags. They're being assholes for whatever reason. And either you can, you can go to that Department of Buildings and take your ticket and wait and see how that bureaucracy spits it out. But I think this is, Brian, you're doing things the right way. You got to equip her to understand group dynamics.
Trying to teach her,
especially because Josie's gonna be the popular one,
right?
So look, Penny's gonna be an artist or an academic, or she's gonna be someone. She's gonna be a writer. She's gonna be someone that's gonna carve her own path, and she's gonna make her own life. Josie's the one that's gonna be, prom queen. So like, she needs to understand this shit now.
Is it weird that to Josie, my 11-year-old, that I have the most serious discussions, because I feel like Penny will react emotionally to things. But Josie groks enough about social dynamics that I'm just like, okay, never do that, because that yields them power. And what you need to do is you need to play the victim while secretly playing for authority, so that you can have reciprocal action. Like, I find myself with Josie explaining tit for tat algorithm strategy of reciprocation in a way that I can't do with Penny. Like Josie seems to really grok multiple interactions over time, and her opportunity to establish a credible threat dominance.
I think it's just different. Everyone's got different our D&D character sheets are all filled out differently, and we got different strengths and weaknesses, and there is an aptitude with Penny that is like frightening. She can catch on to stuff so fast, and she builds her own narrative, I think, because of it. Josie understands more like, oh no, this is a group dynamic, and life is a series of group dynamics for which the rules constantly change, but the attributes stay the same, and so I need to build a robust strategy to do it. I just think that's who they are. To put Lisa J's thing, she says, I got punched on and the bully didn't stop. My mom was like, oh hell no, and the problem was solved. I get it, kids are stupid and kids should learn, but these bullies are going to steal Josie's cookies. Well, should that happen, or the cookies get flipped out of her hand or slapped out of her hand or something like that, the kids react poorly to the fact that they are not left out. There are a few things that you are still building if you are just building your nature as the dominant, the person who is taking action and making proactive friends. You will eventually stop some of that just by having people around you. Bullies tend to pick on the stragglers, the quiet kids. So as long as you're not amongst the quiet kids, then at the very least, picking on somebody's going to be a lot messier than you would otherwise. So I think it's still a smart idea.
Also worth noting, Josie was, of my 3 children, the one who had the idea of being the Fed, creating a new currency and announcing that people could have or not have this money based on their behaviors around her. Like, a much bigger fan of her creating her own social, quite literal currency.
Yeah. But yeah, in general, I mean, if she's getting, I would say, look, if she's getting pushed behind the teacher's back every once in a while, like in school, that is something that she's going to have to deal with. If she were getting punched in the face, if she came home with a black eye or something, that would be a different story, you know?
Certainly. But we're dealing with that soft, whatever it is you picture as the high end or the shallow end of this spectrum. Imagine it being pretty much right in the middle. How do you deal with something in the middle, right?
Yeah. Lucas Light asked if she could just flash a piece. You know, like the bullies are, just starting to fuck around. Just one little, just a little peek.
This was, in some degree, the reason that I made that the first option for us to explore. It's like, well, according to one school of thought, you make a credible threat and then you execute on it. And at that point, there's downsides. You have to go to the principal's office and you have to have stuff explained or whatever. And as I'm saying all this, as if it's a purely intellectual exercise, definitely looking right at my daughter to see how appealing this sounds to her.
Yeah.
And I'm getting nothing. And it's only after getting nothing, it's like, well, let's talk about verbal versions of that. And then off we go. And then it's like, still nothing. It's like, okay, now let me give you what's actually effective, is altering the game.
Yeah, literally, number one, all this will continue. She's literally, this is round one.
Yeah.
And gets excessively weirder and more intense and grosser and more volatile and unpredictable the further she's going to. She's going to go to high school in Texas. Like, this is where people make movies about people being mean to each other in high school.
Did we already talk about on this show how she was teased and bullied by for the crime of believing in evolution? Hi, we're from Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, sorry, say that again. I was reading a teacher opinion, but sorry, say it again.
I can't remember which show we were talking about it on, but I think I shared the fact that she was bullied by her co-students for believing in evolution.
I don't know if it was on a show or on the phone, but I do remember hearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the thing.
Yeah,
if that alters anybody's perception of who the hero and the villain is in this story.
Yeah, look, man, it's everybody hears some shit from the parents. Everyone's literally just learning how to say this stuff for the first time and learning that they can act on it. And this is what happens, man. It's a bunch of fucking whirling dervishes ramming into each other. And then they have to learn social studies or some shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Jess! Jess was the teacher. She says, in my opinion, teaching kids to advocate for themselves is extremely important. My serious obstacle is trying to teach kids to teach them to advocate peacefully while the parents tell the kids just punch them. So yeah, you don't want to. I think that's probably the, back in my day, homespun, stuff that just punch the bully right in the eye. And then when his eye falls out, he'll look into his own eye and say, I shouldn't have bullied. Get it? He'll say it because he's holding an eye. Ha ha. Hand me another Schlitz.
That is one of the things that I hope there did appear on this podcast to be a bit of a disconnect between me and our friend Max Temkin, co-creator of Cards Against Humanity. He seemed to not be a fan, or I was trying to, he advocated to me the moral, what was it? The Moral Mind? Is it the moral, about the 6 moral taste buds or whatever? And I was like, oh, I love that book. I loved his follow-up book, The Coddling of the American Mind. And I couldn't tell if it was because...
No, this was in the after show.
Yeah, correct. I couldn't tell if it was because it leaned into something precious politically or whatever, but it was very clear, like, he was not on board with hearing that was a good book. But, like, it's a really good book in terms of, in my opinion.
Yeah. He, if I remember correctly, he was dismissive in that it leaned into these darn kids and their colleges and,
right.
and the higher academia being
the shaking of the fist and like those darn millennials, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, and I do feel like it's more than that. In that the takeaway from the book was basically encourage rough and tumble play and refuse to be the adjudicator for their disagreements. Put them in a position where kids have to work it out themselves. And looking back, I do feel like that was an important and positive part of my life, but I also don't want to just be an old man saying like, why don't you just punch it out?
Well, I think that there is a middle ground, right? There's a middle ground between like, everything needs to be a state-sanctioned Hunger Games versus everybody needs to totally have somebody that they can call in when they feel imperiled, and it'll always go over their head, and they'll always have some larger champion to deal with. So I think, I don't know, there's I think what you're doing is fine. Like, look, like for minor stuff like that, like if they're just being if they're being shitheads, then figure out a way that you can deal with shitheads, because no matter what, like that little thing, teachers looking the other way, you get pushed into the wall. That is not only going to continue to happen throughout public high school, that will happen in every form of education you're going to. It will happen at your first job. It will happen at your second job or your third job. There will always be somebody that is looking to take, either because they think it will advance their career or they're going through some shit. Like, they will take that moment to needle you. They'll take that moment to fuck with you, to throw you off your game. And either you're going to figure out a way to deal with it, or you're going to let yourself be affected by it. And that's just life. That happens.
Yeah. Well, we solved that.
Yeah. No, the only advice I ever got from my my father was learn how to look crazy at somebody. That the goal is that if you're dealing with a bully, you need to look at them in the eye in a way that makes them believe that you will hurt them worse than they could imagine. Like, you have to understand what an angry look looks like. And then if you get into a fight, don't try to fight fair. Grab something and hit them with it. Those are the two pieces of advice that my father gave to me. Just so you all know the person that raised me.
Yeah, to be honest, like it does cause me to look back on the, I don't know, 3 or 4 fist fights of whatever variety I had when I was a kid, and I'm like, am I happy that those happened or not happy that I'm happened? I don't know.
That was Ghost Dad, not Stepdad, that told me that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got into a few fights when I was in middle school, and I don't know if I got into any fights in high school, but I don't know. They were always fairly fruitless. It was usually over, just dumb stuff and hormones and people thinking that they were getting taken advantage of, and whatever. It was. I think it was good. All those lessons were well learned. I think all those lessons, like, made me understand more. Like, you got to hit the rails a little bit to understand where the road is.
Well, and it makes me wonder, I guess a similar echo of the same sentiment is, there's part of me that can appreciate two people having a disagreement. They essentially agree to a contest of strength and fighting skill to resolve it. One is generally considered the winner, the other generally considered the loser, and that's the end of it. And it is left in the past. And in a weird way, like, Bonnie and I have made a point of never hitting our kids. Our parents, on both sides, were like, no, of course you have to hit a kid. And we're like, why? No good answers come forward. But eventually I read something where there is a case for hitting your kid in terms of, you did a thing, here's the punishment, none of us like it, we've done the punishment, it's over, it's 100% in the past, there's no moral judgment about any of this, we have finished the credible threat, and now I love you with all my heart, and you love me with all your heart. I can almost see something to that. And in that same regard, I guess it's through that same lens that I look at the idea of kids just like, well, why don't you two just duke it out? See what happens.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is that with a parent hitting a child, I think that there is an added trauma there that from the parent's perspective is like, oh, look, here's the thing. I understand all the rules. I understand that there is an end point. This is the end point, where, like, when you're a kid, you're like, oh my God, now I need to process, like, what it means that things escalated to this certain level. Like,
right.
There's so many more lingering tendrils out there.
Yeah. Whereas now, like, I guess absent the spanking thing, unfortunately, what we have to do is, I suppose through one lens, you would say, okay, look, you did the 5-minute timeout, they cried, and now the timeout is done, and now you have that same relief as if it's all over. But I don't know if it has the same overness that a spanking would do. And keep in mind, this is somebody who's never laid a hand on any of his child and like made the conscious decision of I will never spank a child.
And you are even like rapidly running out of years for which any of that to be appropriate, right?
I'm
like,
way past all of that. Like,
Yeah.
I've already optioned out of the entire thing.
Yeah, you don't even have an option to spank at this point.
So for me, the game theory is already like part of the reason I had this whole argument about the cookies with Josie is because like I've already figured out I can call AT&T and just say, yeah, deactivate that iPad. I've already figured out that I can change the password of my Wi-Fi hotspot and then just be like, ooh. And maybe I'm overstepping, but there was definitely a moment where Penny overstepped her bounds. And then when she went back in her room, her iPad just wasn't there. And there was never an assessment. There was never an announcement. There was never a proclamation. Just said, and to her credit, she never came to me. Like I heard her figure stuff out. I heard her get upset and I heard her be quiet for a few days. And then like 3 days later, it was like, she of her own regard came and apologized for the thing that she did. And she discovered her iPad back. Like we never had to have any kind of meeting of minds head to head on any of that.
Man. Well, that's a smart way to do it.
I don't know.
Good dad move.
Yeah, theoretically, possibly. I don't know.
I mean, all early projections point to yes.
What's that?
Early projections point to yes. I'm literally just trying to put a button on this. So
okay.
On. Yeah. All right. Hey, do we want to start the show? Do you need to get another drink, Bryce?
No,
are you okay?
I'm all good.
Yeah.
I am gonna go to the bathroom. Bonnie, you and I had a conversation before the show where there was one condition.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was really excited to just take her easy today.
Gotcha.
I don't know what that means. Okay.
Still real to me. Damn it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we might.
Glad we asked.
Yeah. We might even get into that. That 20-year psychic wound. Yeah, I don't know.
I forgot that it goes as far back as that.
Right. Like the mere fact that we're this much okay with things is progress.
All right. Well, this is all foreshadowing.
Yes.
We will talk about all of it.
It's
so
all irony. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Hey, Justin.
Oh, hi, Bryce. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing A-okay. I got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. What's going on out in the news? What's going on social media, on the world at large?
Bryce, I don't have Twitter on my phone, so I don't. I guess I can look at Twitter now. I'm on a desktop computer now, so I can go to Twitter. That's where I go to Twitter now. I don't look at it on my phone.
Oh, you got a new. Here's a Twitter thing. You got a new icon. Is that right?
I did. Well, first I changed it to I told people that if somebody made me a picture of a fish wearing flannel
right
style, that I would change my avatar to that, and I did for a while that. Then the great Audie Norman, who does these awesome, he's done sticker art for me before, but he is an awesome artist. I guess I'd been doing an illustration a day for Lent of his favorite podcast stuff. And
he did a Night Attack one that was very, very nice.
And so we did one for politics, and so that's my avatar now because I love it so much. I really do need one of them Uncle Sam outfits though. feel
You don't
like
have
that would-
one? I'm really surprised you don't have one. I kind of thought you would have.
Yeah, I
me see
guess
if
that
I
would
can-
probably be smart.
Well, I mean,
probably should have that.
it's not like you know, talk about politics or anything. I'm trying to find the illustrate. Here you go. He did this one for Night Attack, which is very nice.
Yeah,
He
No,
made very buff and skatery looking versions of both of you guys.
exactly. Yeah, no, it's I love that that's his idea of the show. I feel like it very much spoke to my soul that it's Brian and I just celebrating at all times, just cheersing.
Yeah. Very cool. Audie Norman.
We do have a little bit of a show announcement for the folks. I'm in studio
Next week, next Tuesday.
next week.
Uh,
We will be. I think we do have another episode that we will record live after that, if not two.
yes, there would be one.
But
is it
we will
two?
be banking some
is
episodes
two.
because I'm going to be in Italy, so I do not want
Okay.
to. I'm gonna try and actually disconnect. I'm gonna try to like
Live
not
in
do
the
it-
moment, you know, just kind of like really be a part of the human experience. You know, we're all one. Morphogenetic fields is the greater collective consciousness. Yeah.
I have a very hard time disconnecting from things.
Sure.
Like, because I don't have a 9-to-5 job, and I never really only had a night, like even coming out of college, I always had some kind of side hustle that I was doing, be it comedy or blogging or whatever.
Mhm.
So I've always kind of like gotten used to like all of my day being filled with either my work, my thing I want to do, or doing whatever I want. And so it's like, it's hard when I'm like out on vacation. I'm like, oh, I come on, it'll be super easy. I'll still be able to do the politics podcast. I'll still be able to do Jury Daily. It'll be even better because I'm on the road. And it's like, no.
No.
In Japan, I figured that like it's like even doing the little things, it's like
It's a
just better.
disruption. It's more of a disruption than the time investment, you know? Like you probably could find the time across those 2 weeks to do X, Y, or Z, but
I could.
but
It's a me problem.
Yeah.
It's like I enjoy things less when I know I need to do something later in the day, and so that's the big thing. But
Yeah.
the good news for everybody is not one, not two, but 3 in studio episodes coming to you over the next month.
That's right.
Hells yeah.
Have it on. If we figure out the scheduling, we might have some friends who have not been on Night Attack since 2015 in studio. A pair of friends.
Would you say that they would be baked?
I would say that if you were baking
they-
them
would
on
they-
both
would they-
sides.
Yeah, would they maybe be fried?
Well, fried's not quite there. Maybe more
What
of an air
about,
heat.
what about browned? Would you say they were browned?
I would definitely never say that. I would never
Moving on.
God damn it.
So I think we just need to figure out the time stuff on that, but I think that'll be one of those things. So
All right, hold on. I'm gonna use the bathroom.
okay, sure. Hey, Brian.
Oh, how you doing, Bryce?
Good. How was your Tuesday?
It was good. We'll talk about it in the
okay.
beginning. Like we have a moral conundrum. Justin and I talked about this a little bit.
Well, if you're gonna say it on the show, say it on the show.
Okay, all right. Save it on the show.
Cool. I had a good Tuesday. I was doing getting the talking about with the people we were just talking about, and
I got a question.
okay.
What's your weekend?
What's my weekend?
Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I realized that Wednesday is my weekend. It's one day, and that's my weekend.
Yeah. For me, it tends to be Friday. Friday's a pretty solid day, and then because we do a lot of shoots on the weekends, it's like if there's a day there, just because even if we do like a short Modern Rogue shoot, that kind of takes that's a real
Like-
sort of
regardless, it doesn't feel like a weekend because you have, there's even if it's just 20 minutes in the middle of the day, that means it's not a weekend.
Right. So Friday is kind of that for me because that's, the day after when we have Scamnation go out. And then a lot of times Tuesday during the day is a lighter day for me. And so between, I was able to I wrote the game for today and I got some emails sent out and could, take it because especially with Mondays being like these 12-hour days,
right?
I can kind of bounce back in the early part of Tuesday.
This might not be a Night Attack or even a Night Attack post-show thing, but like it occurs to me that one of the things that I think both of us are really working on is good hygiene and etiquette about expressing, well, here's what I think, and so we understand that if we're going to create art, we have to get very good at that conversation.
Sure.
Do you think it's worth sort of talking through our disagreement artistically on Friday, and talking out loud the creative process of how to
on the show or
I mean, in whatever forum, whether it's in a post-show thing or whatever. Like, I found myself describing the situation because we had an artistic disagreement on Friday.
Sure.
And I was really proud of how we communicated both sides of that and how we are, even now, 4 or 5 days later, still not sure if either one of us is right or wrong, but continuing to parse through like what's important to us or whatever. Might be too heavy to
I don't know
for on the show.
Yeah, that might be too much on a live environment.
The initial question was, do you want to talk about this on the show? And then Bryce's response was, on the show, and Brian's was, I mean, post-show or pre-show too. We can do it there as well.
No, certainly not in the show proper. I think we're on the same page with that.
I maybe with some more time from it. Not that I don't think it's like a right or wrong, correct or incorrect thing.
What I'm trying to express is
don't.
I perceive that we are on a journey of not so much figuring out what this artistic thing is, but trying. We are co-pilots on a quest for what is the best process for discovering artistic truth. And I'm pleased and proud of how we've negotiated it so far. And I wonder if there's not a place for us to share that journey, whether it's today or not today or whatever. But like, I don't know. I'm really pleased in the meta place of how we've been on the same page and listen to each other, and I think there's value in that. So whether that's a tonight thing or a down the road thing, I think there's something.
As Renaigu and HTTPS are pointing out, we have the Bizarre Briefing, which is pretty much exactly what that is for.
Nope. Fair enough.
I mean that and like leaking shit that I've been working hard on. That's also another thing that the Bizarre Briefing's for.
Oh my goodness, I thought.
Oh, is this the title?
The cover and all that.
Oh
stuff.
no, the album art.
The cover.
Yeah.
Who made the cover art again?
Who?
But I mean, because I think I don't know. We were talking a little bit about it yesterday after all the shows, and I could kind of tell that it was still on your mind.
Well,
and
like
which
in
is
my
kind of
mind,
why
in my mind it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just it's unresolved, and I kind of love that we are negotiating what a resolution. Like, I don't know. It's tough to figure out, like, is there objectivity in art and that kind of stuff, and so it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's fun stuff to explore there.
Sure,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we I don't know, but tonight's probably not the night. We could find some time to talk more about it.
Cool.
It's probably where that's at.
Done.
That's a solid 20 minutes where we all had conversations that the audience has no background on.
That's all we do, man.
That's
That was good.
welcome to the
It was
new.
over multiple conversations. We had like several about different people. Like, just the only thing that was totally coherent was that the audience had no context for what was being said.
yeah.
And look, between you, me, and the wall, I've been the audience in those situations, and I've definitely loved knowing that there's more of a story to come as a result of hearing that.
A little amuse-bouche.
There we
So,
go.
so
A little bit.
in that regard, let us be the first to say you're welcome for not having any idea what we're talking about.
There we go. A gift from us to you, you fucking vultures.
well. Alrighty. Hey, did you go and do a thing, Justin? Are you good?
We good.
You good? All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's do the show. Let me click a couple buttons here, and we'll go and do a show.